And we're live. Good afternoon to anybody on stream, and welcome. And whilst I remember, I shall just do a white balance on this camera. Which is currently set to automatic. Okay, that'll do. It's representing the reds a little bit too dark, but it's actually not as bad as it was previously. We shall continue with this. Let me take these numbers out of here because they were wrong. I'll try and put those back in now that we have the needle threaded correctly. And we'll take a look then at whether this looks better this time. Yep, that looks a lot better than it did previously, so we shall do the other numbers and the lettering. these loops as well. So that we don't accidentally pull the loops on the other side out. Okay, that looks better. Won't look like much though until we get the yellow inlets around it. Let's put the EWS in as well. Ultimately, how well we be able to see the lettering depends on the yellow that goes around it. Now I need to cut that loop. There we go. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to very well carry on with the letter S here. Yeah, there we go. If there's anybody watching that doesn't recognise this, this is a type of work called Punchcraft, which involves punching loops of thread through from the back here into the front and creating like a rug effect. I think it's probably worth at this point running a line of red all the way down here, or two. Then we'll switch to another colour, the white for the handrails and then we'll switch back to probably yellow before we finish off the red on the side of here of the loco. Yep, goes all the way down the loco. There's a lower red stripe just above the main chassis. Now I could do some red at that end of the loco, but I'm going to cut this off and start work back at this front end. Perspective wise it looks thicker at this end, so I'll start somewhere around about here and we'll just thicken up this line a little. Yep, stops about there. And I think that'll do. Now switch to a white to do the handrails. which will then allow us to do more of the side of the body. Super long needle threader here. Without it, this would be almost impossible to do. I would not like to fancy my chances of trying to thread this down the body of this tool. That would need gigantic proportions of patience and probably a lot of rage quitting. And now it has to go through the side of the needle. This tool can create loops of different lengths, so I'm making this more or less flat, so we've just got 3 clicks. I've got a window to outline, so let's do the window first. Yeah, and then we can come do the handrails. Good afternoon to anybody in chat. If you would like to say hello or you want to ask any questions, please feel free to do so. I'm just creating an image of a Class 66 locomotive using a craft type called Punchcraft. So that should be the window outlined. It is. Okay, so we'll now do the handrails. Actually, we'll also do a couple of signs, warning signs. There's one here. And then we'll have another one just by the handrail, both of which I believe are just overhead wire warnings. Yeah. Not too bad. One down here and one up there. And then another one down at the bottom. Yep. Now we'll put the handrails in. Then once these are in, we'll be able to do the colours around them. That's one of the handrails. Do the one on the other side of the door, and then we'll do the ones down at the other end of the loco. that's those done. Hey Default Guy, good afternoon and welcome to the stream. Nice to see you again. How are you doing? Something different for this afternoon, just as an ad hoc stream. Yep, that doesn't look too bad. Probably a bit more red just to go in down that side, but that looks okay. I'm doing fine, thank you very much. It's a nice afternoon around here, so I just felt like doing a different stream. I'll be back to doing some pyrography tonight, but for the moment, just something a little bit different. I hope you've had a good weekend, sir. It's coming along quite well. I expect probably to finish it on the stream tonight. I'll show you in just a second. We just cut these threads off. I'll show you how far we've got. There we go. I think I've probably a little bit more work to do around the muzzle here. It looks a little bit wrong. Looks a bit too much teddy bear like. Just the shading's wrong, but then the background is to fill in, and then the whiskers and hairs to add in the ears, and he's done. So very likely it's going to get finished on tonight's stream, and then tomorrow will probably be scraper board, but I'll have to look for an image for that at the moment. I'm not quite sure what I want to do. So it's coming along very nicely, thank you. Considering on Monday of this week, or last week, I was about to throw it away, it's turned around completely. Let me just put that to one side. Which of course is, thank you, I was going to say, it's quite pleased about the fact that I managed to turn it around. Yes, it was. It was that bad. I'd done a. What I'd done is I'd done a first pass on it, which is well, there's none left on here, but is light, very light colouring, and the face just looked completely wrong. The nose certainly looked completely wrong, and it still looks a bit out at the moment, but it looked a bit, depending on how you looked at it, it looked either like a fox or a teddy bear, and just did not look right. And I'd spent at least one stream, certainly all of Monday night stream, erasing or removing parts of it and doing it again, and I must have gone over some parts at least 3 or 4 times, and I really couldn't get it to look anything like I wanted it to look. Is perhaps the best way of describing it. And it was after the stream on Monday I was watching 3D Blog do some airbrushing, and just while he was there I that, well, you know, it's rubbish, I'm throwing it away. I'll just practice some of the fur techniques, slowing the pen movements down so that I can get you know, really dark colouring in one go rather than trying to do it over 4 or 5 passes. And I did quite a bit around the side and the eyes, and by the end of that night I'm looking at it and think, actually, you know, darkening those areas off made a significant amount of difference. And so I then spent sort of Tuesday and Wednesday streams and some of Thursday darkening the rest off, and at that point it actually looked reasonable. And so there was just obviously something about the colour that just was making it look really bad, and once I darkened it down, it looked a heck of a lot better. So you know, it was looking better and better and better, so I just carried on with it, and then once I added in the ears, it again looked even better, shall we say, and then you know, it was worth finishing off. And I was, you know, starting that finishing process last night with the background, but only today I've sort of realised this muzzle looks a little too swollen, bulbous out. The shading isn't quite right on it, so I will adjust the shading on the stream tonight and the background. But yeah, no, well, it really was that bad. So just shows you sometimes even something that's really bad can be rescued, depending on what's wrong with it. It would have been, yeah, so am I actually. It would have been the first time I'd actually thrown or abandoned a piece, and I really didn't want to do it. But when you can't actually see what's wrong with it and you can't fix it, then I can quite see that that's the only possibility in the end. Yeah, and you know, on the stream on Monday as well. I mean, there were people on stream were saying, "Well, what's wrong with it? It looks great," and yeah, I'm going, but it's not. It just doesn't look right, or it certainly didn't look like the particular cat that it was supposed to look like, even if it sort of did look like a cat at times. But yeah, it's potentially I was being too critical about it, but I'm not particularly convinced I was being critical about it. Perhaps other people were being somewhat more kind, but you know, sometimes, yes, what other people say matters, and other times it's down to me. Okay, so that's yeah, that's all the white. So I can swap this cotton out for another colour. Which colour yellow am I using? Lighter, darker, that's more of... the body's more of that colour. That's more of that colour. I'm just working out which is the right colours to use at this point. Oops, sorry. I'm doing this train twice actually. There's this, which is that's the face side of it, which will look better the more I put in. I'm a little bit out of practice with it, but it will look better as I do more. But I'm also doing that in pyrography as well. So this is one I started on. It was the first piece I started on stream. I was just practicing, and I sort of did some more of this yesterday. And then switched to doing it using the Punchcraft. I just to do something slightly different for a while, and I may well sort of insert this into one of the evening streams at some point as well. So we've got that, we've got that, and we've got the gold. Down the side is more. Only limited colours. I haven't got a full million colour palette or anything like that to do this with, so and I'm going to cheat because I'm not going to do the ribs. Thank you very much. There are times when I wouldn't agree with you, but there are times when I might, especially when something's come out rather well. I think those two are no, those two are closest, so they'll go on the front. And I'll do this one down the side, so we'll do this first. I'm not going to disagree with anybody calling me that, but yeah, bit of ego there. I'm sure there'll be quite a few people that think whatever it is I'm doing is not that good. The main thing though is that I enjoy doing it. Even if it isn't that good, I enjoy doing it. And that's the main thing, or the important thing really. No point in doing this sort of thing if you don't enjoy doing it. Anyway, how is your chainmail coming along? I haven't yet. No, it's I seem to be spending all my time streaming at the moment, Eddie Fall Guy. I haven't. Oh, you've done some of this as well, have you? Or similar. Yeah, Julie model boats. Yeah. It's a long time since I made. Well, it depends on the model boat that you mean, but a long time since I made model boats for remote control. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people don't necessarily realise just how much effort goes into it. I mean, this, for example, looks. If you've tried it, it is relatively easy, but it still consumes an awful lot of time to do. I think that is one of the problems that we tend to find, especially with streaming, is people seem to expect them to take about 10 minutes to complete a piece, and I suspect you find the same thing with chainmail as well. They just don't realise just how much time it actually consumes to fasten all those rings into such intricate patterns. I'm not sure I actually appreciate how much time it takes to do that with chainmail as well, but I can understand it would. Yes, you linked the eagle. That's right. And I did take a look at the pictures that you sent, so to speak. I shall endeavour once again to try and take a look at some of the recorded stuff for AD Fall Guy. It's not for lack of desire to do so. It's just amazing just how much time when you start streaming and then sort of life as well. Eating is quite an interesting activity to do sometimes. Just how much time just vanishes. Oh, that's not bad. I wish I could finish something in 4 hours. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as you know, I do try and do 2 hours every night as well, and it is actually amazing just how much time that as well it takes up. I mean, I'm lucky. I work from home most of the time, so I finish at 5 o'clock at night. But even so, it sometimes is. I'll sometimes do that, and then look sort of a little bit later. You look up at the clock, and it's 10 to 8, and I'd been intending to start streaming at 7:30 or something like that day, and it really does very suddenly creep up on you. Although I'm not actually trying really hard to stick to a schedule. I'm just trying to sort of be about. Do one line. No, I won't do one line down the back of that. Just go across the top of there. How big was the dice bag then? I sort of imagine something like, well, I imagine it to be like two layers really, which it may not be, I guess, but sort of about 4 or 5 inches square. It seems really fast. I mean, if you are, well, you did do it that fast. I don't mean to imply that you didn't. That does sound like you've got one hell of a lot of skill in it. There we go. That red's a little bit not quite as thick as I intended. Wonder if I accidentally set the needle to a different size, but oh, maybe it was just a little bit tight. Okay, so we do down there the flash. Okay. The interesting thing I found now that I started streaming is things like I still want I still want to do things perhaps when I'm not necessarily streaming, or not on an evening stream, like yeah, so Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoon now, like now, and I kind of just want to do a little bit of art for myself, but sort of streaming it because why not? And it's kind of like I don't want to do the pussycat though, because I kind of would like you guys who are very kind enough to come along each evening and watch me do things, to see it sort of progress and not suddenly take great big leaps and things. So it's kind of like, what do I do now? 20, yeah, well, yeah. It's about the size of your palm. Okay. I mean, given the size of the rings and the complexity, because if I recall rightly, you say you link 4 rings together in one go. That still sounds an awfully yeah, you've just got a lot of skill, haven't you? I mean, that's it, really. You've got so much skill, you make it look easy, and you whip through it in next to no time. Yeah. So if there is anybody watching, by the way, who is interested in seeing chainmail, Lady Fall Guy there does stream making chainmail, and making of chainmail is an extremely fascinating process to watch. So I kind of would encourage anybody to take a look. Yeah, by all means, yes, you can do that. That is allowed. I'm going to put a length of red down there, so I'll start that just inside. Okay, in just a moment we'll start to see whether this the lettering and loco number show up on the other side. Let me hold that and take a look at this. Got to hold the needle in place because I don't want it to pull out, which will pull threads. Oh, wow. It looks a little crowded, does that bag there? But yeah, that looks amazing. You see, you've braided the cord as well, yeah, and then added the details on the end to stop it fraying back. Yeah, it's a nice picture. The glinting off the rings actually makes it quite difficult to see them. It just looks like some really intricate weaving. Yep, that's an amazing picture of Lady Fall Guy. So if you're producing things like that on stream, definitely anybody who's around, take a look at that picture, and then go follow Adi, so that when he goes live you'll be able to see him actually make chainmail like that. was worthy of it, Eddie Fall Guy. It's amazing, you know. I can appreciate the amount of work and that goes into something like that, and in some ways the skill and concentration that's needed to do it. And yeah, it's I think it's an amazing piece of work. Oh yeah, that'd be great to see as well. For those of you that don't know, Eddie Fall Guy there is creating himself a chainmail banner type sign for when he goes to things like crafts fairs and things like that, to show off the chainmail, and you know, let everybody know what a wonderful craftsman he is there. I'm guessing, Eddie Fall Guy, as you do go to craft fairs and things like that, then you very likely will take commissions as well if anybody's interested in them. I was just thinking there, and something a little bit of a funny thought. I wonder what this locomotive would look like done in chainmail. My guess is it would have to be an awfully big piece to get at least a reasonable amount of detail in there, but that's one advantage I have, is I don't. My pixels per inch is a lot more pixels per inch than you get. Okay. What? Sorry. Yeah, I kind of realised that, but it was just an amusing thought in a way. Yeah, as we've discussed before, it's those pixel-based images which kind of interest me, as opposed to objects. You know, like yeah, I was about to say like your dice bag. That's a fantastic thing. I think it's wonderful. For me, if I were to do chainmail, it would not be the thing that interested me, should I say? But yeah. Oh, there you go. So it wasn't such a daft thought after all. Well, it'd save on painting, wouldn't it? You might need a steel beam across the top to hold it, even if it is aluminium rings, because that would, I can imagine that would be heavy. Dear. So what time is it on a Wednesday that you stream AD Fall Guy? I don't recall your locality, so yeah, 14th. I'll bet your dining room wall would be easily into 500,000 or even 1,000,000 rings, I suspect. Mind you, I don't actually know how side. 7 to 7:30. Okay, well that certainly is within my. I think I have, but let me just check and see whether. No, it doesn't look like it did. I have now. It didn't look like I followed you, so I have just done that now. So I am at 7 to 7:30. It'll be about when I normally start eating my tea. So I should, and generally I've got the computer on. So hopefully, if Twitch is performing, it should tell me, and I'll try and I shall try and take a look. It's sometimes difficult though. There are so many interesting streamers on in creative section, or elsewhere, like I'm doing it now. When it that's alright, no problem for that. When it seems appropriate. I was going to say you probably have quite a few. You'll have noticed I'm in Train Simulator here. I thought it might be interesting too. It was a good area yesterday, and a lot of people were interested in what was going on. With me doing the train, and quite a few people that weren't particularly aware that creative existed, and hopefully they'll go and take a look when they have some free time on Twitch. But I'm guessing you're a little bit like the Danish guy, aren't you? You can you could yeah, the Danish guy, I'm presuming, who was streaming in World of Warcraft. I'm thinking that you could get away with doing that as well, because chainmail and Warcraft. I think there's chainmail in the game as well. It's a fast-moving art form. Is this one Bubbles the Monkey? So Bubbles the Monkey, who is not a monkey. So yeah, I'll turn it over when I finish this block, rather than in the middle of it. But yeah, it's that's one of the it's kind of one of the reasons why I enjoy it. The other one is the crunch. There's always a sound to my crafts, whether it's the crunch off of wood being carved, or this one's got a real nice. When it's done, when you hit it right, it's got a really nice crunch sort of sound, which I kind of find really satisfying. But yeah, the speed of it is one of the things that I find attractive with it. Because the others are, I'm not impatient, but the others are a relatively slow art form. Whereas this, of course, it still takes several hours. It's surprising, but yeah, it does progress quite quickly, which tends to be quite gratifying compared with either carving or anything like that, which 20 or 30 hours before you actually start to see anything that looks like what you're trying to achieve at the end. kind of waiting to see what this lettering is going to look like when I've done it. Yeah, WoW has. Oh yeah, yeah. I was. It took me a while to translate WoW into World of Warcraft. I was thinking of an explanation there. So yeah, maybe that's an idea there, Eddie Frog guy, to let some other people see such an amazing craft. I guess between you and the Danish guy, you've got sort of various what's the word? Eras of armor. And for anybody who's watching who's not familiar, the Danish guy is a leather worker. He does leather of all types. Anything from things like phone covers, leather wallets, bracelets, up to full gauntlets, shields, and other other armor pieces. I was just thinking, Bubbles the Monkey, this in some ways this is kind of similar, sort of pixel based art to beads in a way. It does have the advantage that if I knock this thing quite hard, I don't end up with a spray of beads all over the place. Actually, the thought that just crossed my mind just then is, I wonder what I'm going to do to stop the cats deciding they want to lay on top of the beads, because they probably will. I'm thinking in my new studio I'm going to have a drawer that I can put the finished plates in before they get ironed up. Oh. Yeah, I understand, but to some extent, it's chainmail, and so it's jewellery in this. It's small pieces of chainmail. Yeah, I think most people would think of chainmail as being armour, but there again, you're making jewellery. As far as I remember, there is jewellery in or something similar in WoW anyway as well. So. There's certainly people craft things, so to speak, for sale. From what I remember, it's not a game I'm that familiar with, but it was just a thought. I'm not attempting to compel anybody to do anything. And I know it's quite like in some of these game streams, or game channels, there'll be always the sort of people that go, but it's not a game, and then you've got to put up with them not having read Twitch's terms and conditions and not realising that you don't actually have to stream a game in the channel. In fact, you don't even have to stream World of Warcraft in the World of Warcraft stream. There's nothing actually in the terms and conditions that say you have to stick to the correct game, which is fascinating in a way. Couldn't you just make the camera a bit closer, Bubbles? Because I'm assuming that you wouldn't... Bubbles to Monkey, I apologise. So I'm assuming you don't actually get them do a sort of similarly large sizes, shall we say, when you do mini beads. And it'd be interesting to see, are you going to be showing that sort off on your... When is your next stream? Earrings and keychains. Yeah, never thought of keychains. You've even got the holes already there to put the chain through. Thought just crossed my mind. I wonder what the crossover between chainmail and you know, these beads would be if you tried combining them into a single piece in some way. That could be quite interesting, because the beads could either form the like a frame, or some sort of yes, well, you know, frame implies rectangular or square, but I was thinking sort of you know, something that overlays it, or something like that. Yeah, it could be interesting. Okay. Well, I shall endeavour to take a look. I was saying to Eddie Fall Guy though, these days it actually gets quite hard to, or I'm finding it quite hard, because there's there being so many people I want to take a look at, and so many interesting streams. Although I do try and catch you, Bubbles to Monkey. I've kind of I generally drop on after I finish my stream, although I don't always well, I very rarely say hello, I guess. I just lurk in the background, but I was kind of yesterday, I think it was, I finished my stream and I'm looking and where's Bubbles gone? Looking for you, looking for your stream, and of course you weren't. Lots of people that stream just during the week. When I come to the weekend, I have to find somebody new. Right, I've almost finished this section. And then we shall turn it over and see what it looks like. Ow. My finger was a little bit too close. Okay, we shall now cut this thread off. Oh, thank you for the advertisement, Bubbles. The Bubbles to Monkey. I hope you. I'm sorry, I keep shortening your name, but I think you said you don't mind that. But excuse me if that's not the case. Well, lettering's not too bad. I might have to see if I can punch some more through just to make it stand out a little bit more. But we can sort of see the 6600 something and then EWS. So maybe we'll punch a bit more through at some point towards the end and see if we make that stand out a little bit more. Thank you, Bubbles, for that permission. I'll try not to do it too often, but sometimes it just is easy. I decided not to have a glass of water by me today, just in case my model friend comes along and sticks his nose in it again like he did last night. That's a little bit short-sighted, isn't it? It means I don't get one anyway. Well. Okay, so now I can go back and do the lighter red underneath here. Actually, I put the yellow stripe in there first, and I want it to use a fairly bright yellow, so I will use that one. Okay. As long as you're happy with it, Eddie. As I say, I do try hard to use the names people have chosen, rather than just arbitrarily shorten them if I can help it. Occasionally, there are some which are otherwise unpronounceable. I do wonder sometimes if people are just watching the kitties rather than the work I'm doing. I'll be doing that again tonight, Bubbles to Monkey. 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'll start doing that one again. Nice necklace, by the way. That statement has lost me. The nice necklace. Was that a default Fall Guy? I presume. Oh, sorry, Eddie. I didn't see. I didn't see the second link. I just assumed it was the same thing. Oh right. Gold rings there, yeah. With I guess that looks like just polished quartz, is it? Drilled with a set wire through them. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I think sometimes though, when whether it's reasonable or not, I don't know. In this particular case, you know, it might look a bit odd, but and I'll tell you the image that came to mind in a minute. But you know, sometimes the crossover between two different art forms like that can produce some very interesting results. You know, and to some extent, you've got the crossover there with lapidary, is it? I believe, or is that just on precious stones? But yeah, somebody who cuts or otherwise polishes stones. You can get some really interesting results. The thought that came to mind just then for some reason was an episode of original Star Trek, the Guardian of Forever. I don't know if it's something that you're familiar with, but it's, and I don't quite know why it came to mind, because I'm not a, whilst I've seen all of them, I'm not a super fan of Star Trek. You know, it's interesting and I like watching it, but that's about as far as it goes. But if you're not familiar with the Guardian of Forever, it's a great big stone circle with a shimmering curtain of time in the middle. And I was just thinking then of you know, bubbles with the beads forming the stone, and your chainmail in the middle as the curtain. Okay, the thing that crossed my mind with chainmail and something like that would be the chainmail form the flap of the bag that comes over the top to seal it as well. See, the whole sort of top half of the front panel was chainmail. Oh yeah, I was threading this. Anybody who's used to needle threaders, that's a long needle threader. It's a long needle threader, but it's only just long enough. But of course that's... oops, I didn't get that through. That's the manufacturer saving pennies on... oh, saving a slight amount of money on only having a threader that's just long enough. You need good eyesight to not to do the initial thread, but to get this goes through a tiny hole in the side of the needle. I certainly use my glasses at that point. Nope, I need both threads to go through there, not just one of them. Possibly. I'm leaving the leather up to the Danish guy though. I don't really want to start on that one. Okay, let's start and run the yellow stripe down the side. I was going to say you perhaps should try around where I am. There's places full of charity shops, but unfortunately I'm not about to say where that is, so it doesn't really help you. Okay. I'm beginning to think I should perhaps put a light on. The shadow from my hand there looks to be making it awkward for you guys to see. Okay. Have a enjoyable meal, Bubbles to Monkey. I shall be making mine in an hour or so, assuming it's defrosted. I think it may well be sausage for tea tonight, but I'm not sure. Which is daft because I got it out, but I got 2 or 3 things out, so I'm not quite sure which I'm going to choose. in case there's anybody that's watching that may not be familiar, there is a section on Twitch, one of the game channels on Twitch called Creative, where you'll find quite a lot of streamers who are doing, generally speaking, various forms of art or crafts, somewhat like what I'm doing here is an example. But there, you might find 84 Guy who does chainmail, Bubbles the Monkey who does bead art, quite a few other people that's around doing Jaxall who does wax clay, CJ who does oil-based clay and moulding, and I'm trying to think of everybody's name now, but there's quite a lot. Well, there is quite a lot of people on there streaming everything from physical arts through to digital art. So if you're not aware of it, take a look for the creative section. You can also do the search on Twitch and take a look at what's there. You might find some really interesting things that will forever occupy your time and may even completely change your use of Twitch. You may find you never watch another game again. I gather that has happened to a few people. It's almost happened to me. I do still watch the occasional game, but there is so much now in creative that's interesting and fun to watch that games have taken somewhat of a back seat. Another excellent one that just crossed my mind is the Danish guy, all one word. You'll currently probably find him in the World of Warcraft section, but he sometimes also is in creative. He's a leather worker. Andrew 2108, thank you very much for following. Sorry, Andrew, yeah, Andrew Ward or Andrew Word. Not quite sure how to pronounce it, but thank you very much for the follow. That's most kind of you. I have just had a pussycat, which I hope will not decide to stop the stream, run right across my keyboard. The one that just visited, because he didn't actually decide to show his face on stream, was this one. He was a little bit stream shy today. Andrew Ward, I think it sounds, but I'm looking at it and it sort of strikes me as I want to say Andre Word, perhaps. Andre Word 2108. But again, thank you for following. I do appreciate it, and I'm glad the content interests you enough to want to see what happens. I do other things as well. This is just at the moment this is just an ad hoc stream of something. At the moment on my main evening streams I am doing pyrography, like the piece that I just showed. That's one that I'm working on at the moment. I also do carving or relief carving at the moment. Not due to start that again though for about another week or so. And another art form called scraper board, which is basically a blackboard which is I use sharp tools to reveal a white underneath and create images out of that. I may well insert this into that sequence at some point as well, so I do these on evening streams. An evening stream is generally somewhere around 8 PM UK time, 7 PM GMT, or roughly in about 3 hours from now. At the moment they are generally 7 nights a week, subject to other commitments, of course, as is often happens. I'm not a full-time streamer, so I do have to fit other things in from time to time. Okay, so that's the main yellow stripe down the side of this loco. Now I may well just, so there we go. It'll look a little bit better when the red goes in, which will compress it slightly, which we'll do in just a moment. This is a nice bright yellow, so I'm going to do the steps, I think, for the ladder as well at this time, while I've got this in the needle. Could have all the loose threads, because if they catch, they'll actually pull these loops out that I'm creating, and then it will ruin the picture. Well, I'll just have to do them again, but I've got one there, and one there. Okay. I need to hold the material up off the desk, because I'm punching this needle all the way through as far as it basically will go, and obviously if it's on, and that's what creates the loop on the other side, and if I do that with the material on the desk, obviously it won't go very far. Then we have another step round about there, yeah. You can create a reasonable amount of detail with this, but it's not a super detailed form, not unless you make it extremely large. How long do you seem to take? Aston, assuming that you were asking me rather than 84 guy, it actually is still the same answer. Actually, it really does depend on the size. This size here, if I was to go at it full time, I'd probably spend about 16 hours doing it. It's, you know, because of the size. Everything seems to take about 16 to 20 hours. This is going to take about 20 hours in pyrography. This probably takes about 20 hours as well, and that's because of the quantity more than anything. And things like changing the needles, changing the threads in the needles adds time, quite a bit of time. Okay, so that's can I yeah, right. What I was just talking to myself about there is whether or not I actually want to try and put a step at this side down here. let's just put a couple of threads that sort of hint at it being there. The lower stairs are probably too fine a detail to actually get in, so we won't bother. And also my intention with this is to completely fill this hoop, so I'll be putting a sky in and some detail down here. But if I was just doing the main loco on the track, then it's probably about 10 hours of work. Some of that as well is I don't actually know what I'm going to do in terms of things. I've picked out some colours, for example, to roughly represent it, and I don't actually know which colours I'm going to use where. I mean, I'm looking at this one here and I'm thinking I'm going to do the front or part of the front of the loco with a slightly different colour for the slanted area before we get down towards the air dam, which of course will be black. And I've yet to work out quite how to do the bogey area, because there's a lot of, because I can't put a lot of detail in, and I don't have a huge range of blacks and greys to use. I'll probably see if I can do some of it just by varying the depth, but I'm not quite sure yet. I don't really want to try and make it one solid area of black, but that might end up being what it actually is. So whilst there's a handrail on here, can I actually put the handrail in? Probably could. It won't be as a detail, but what it would be is as slightly, so it stands slightly proud. Let's see if I can do that. Let me look at my reference image. Okay, let's have a go. See if I can put in a handrail. At worst this won't show up, at best it will stand out slightly proud of the surface when I've done it, making it look as though it's slightly three-dimensional and therefore somewhat like a handrail. I'm doing that by making the needle I've made the needle slightly longer so that the loops that it creates are slightly bigger than the ones that I'm going to do around it. If anybody's interested in this particular type of art, the tool is called a punch tool, and if you want to look up maybe being able to source such a thing for yourself, look up Webster's Punchcraft. They're actually a UK company. I don't know about European or States-based resellers, but their website may well provide that sort of information. because I am aware they do wholesale some of this stuff. So I think, for example, QVC UK, they do sell to, and they may well therefore sell to the American equivalents as well. They do sell kits, so you don't actually have to start from scratch, and the kits are well thought out in some ways. You get the tool, you get the threads, you get the pattern, and most of them also come with a hoop to hold the material. That makes it easier to do this with. You can do it without, but it's a heck of a lot easier to have some form of hoop like this, or frame that holds the material reasonably taut. And if this sort of thing interests you, you can also do it with rugs. You can make rugs. Obviously, I could literally use this same pattern blown up a little bit though, to create a rug of a class 66. Okay, so that's a handrail. So I'll now reduce the size of this down one notch. And I've got the flat face of the loco and then some detail down at the bottom here to do with this, and we'll see how that goes. So roughly across there. Then we'll turn it over and we'll see whether the handrail actually looks like one or it's just got hidden. It is possible to create like a sculptured effect by varying the length of the needle, which is what I may do for the bogey area, by varying, you know, the depth of the needle in patches. It'll make it look like there's some detail there, even though it possibly all will be done with just a black thread. Remember, I've got a little single row of red really to go across the top of here, just under the windows. need to cut that off and then move it. Yeah, that's sorry Eddie, I'm concentrating on not sticking a needle in myself. That's what would be called latch hook making, or latch hook rug making. I do that as well. I've actually got one down the side of me here. Although I do generally do kits in that, but I've got lots of kits of that to do. Bit awkward to do that on the stream though, because as you will appreciate, they're quite wide, and one row of the fabric, just doing one row in there takes about 30 minutes. But there is a version of a tool like this which will take thicker wool, like this sort of knitting wool if you like, and the material is a bit like a canvas version of this, so a thicker needle and a canvas version of this, and you can actually create do more or less the same thing. You punch it through and it creates loops, but yeah, both have their place. They're both an interesting art form, and I meant to get a little bit of yellow down here and I forgot, so I shall put that in. And then cut that off. Yeah, well, it's kind of the thing I've found as well. Is it sat down the side of me here is the one that I've got half finished, and it has been sat there for quite some time. And okay. Doesn't really show up. I should perhaps have made them a little bit longer. It's you can sort of see a raised area here. Might not show up on stream. It's sort of, you can sort of see something, which is just the handrail. Might have been better, say, to make the loops a little bit longer still, but oh well. That's the first time I've done a locomotive doing in this form, so I've just learned something. Exaggerate them a little bit. Winnie the Pooh, yeah. Lightning McQueen. Oh, from the cars, yeah. Now I've got, what have I got here? The one that I'm doing down here is Scooby-Doo. Just because I like doing latch hook kits, and they I like the picture. Nothing, no ulterior motive more than that. Not for any kids or anything like that. And I've got, what have I got? Some wildlife ones. So I've got I think there's an elephant kit around, a lion. I know there's and there's a few of the things like Scooby-Doo or Disney ones I've got. I think I've about 6 or 8, to be honest. The main thing though at the moment is I don't have enough room to sort of sit down with a 4 foot wide mesh and do the actual latch hooking of it. I'm hoping later this year I'll get be able to move into a bigger studio, and when I do that I might just try it on stream. It might be possible to set that up, so it could be an interesting thing. I'll just be doing the kits. It'll be one way of completing the kits. Relatively slow though, I'm afraid, on stream. As I say, 2 rows per hour they take. So okay, I've got to do the lower tongue here, just above the air dam. Not putting a lot of detail into it, as you know, there isn't, the size here doesn't allow for a lot of detail, but hopefully when it is done, it still resembles enough of a Class 66 to be recognisable by people who know what one is. So I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up towards the lights. I'm doing this, it actually doesn't, I'm not following any particular pattern, direction doesn't matter, doesn't have to be done in rows or anything like that. It's just literally like taking a crayon and colouring in between the lines in a colouring book. There are, one tends to learn or want to do things in a particular direction just because that makes some things easier, because it's relatively time consuming to pull the pen out, cut the thread off and start it again. So sometimes you'll do things in a slightly different direction in order just to make it so that you don't actually have to cut the thread off and start another section. Whilst I am missing quite a bit of detail out, I will put the lights in. They're prominent enough to look odd if they're not there. Yeah, that's right, it would do. Yeah, it would certainly get knocked over if it was there, yeah. Yes, no, you're right, it would need to be considerably further back, at least I think 3 feet, something like that. Or possibly just higher in the air. One of the things I want to try and get around to doing is making a camera mount that I can clamp to the side of the desk and have it on something like a silver microphone snake or something like that, which I can then bend and position, and also put a couple of LED spotlights on there as well, so I can actually shine downwards. And something like that might well then, because it'll be pushed up and you're able to look straight down, that may well be enough space to do that. But again, to get the full width, as you mentioned, it would have to be quite high. Although of course I don't know about when you do latch hooking there, Eddie Fall Guy, but one of the things I do is I don't work my way across the row. I move the piece across I generally do it sat on the floor, so I move the piece across my knee, so that I'm always working just in front of me. So many forms of art or hobbies, however you wish to describe it. I don't have enough time to do them all on stream. But there again, if I don't do them on stream, I probably won't do them at all. No, I do more than just the ones that have been mentioned so far. This is one of those situations just came up to now. I need to do a little bit the other side of the light, but rather than cut this off, all I'm going to do is do a few random, being careful, but a few random punches just through, sort of stitching my way over to the other side so that I don't actually have to cut it off. Not particularly wasting any thread because I'd be cutting off just as much as I've used. So even though I'm a bit of a miser with materials, that's one that doesn't worry me. And there we go, that's that front section there. Oh yeah, the angle poise type lamps, I know what you mean. I kind of had thought about that as well. Yeah, it could work. Yeah, well, it does work. You've done it. So there we've got that section. It'll look a little better when we get some more of the detail in, but like a lot of these things, they what they look like improves as you do more and more of it. Yeah, I've never had much luck though. I mean, I've got a desk lamp behind me which has broken its mount about 6 times, which I've had to glue and epoxy back together and what have you. And I keep having to tighten the springs and the joins up. Yeah, I know the one you mean. It does. Oh, I've forgotten his name now, but yeah, I know which one you mean. He's got it tucked just inside his t-shirt, pointing forward. I kind of was thinking about that, or using a head-mounted camera. The t-shirt one probably would be better, and actually for that purpose, well, even this purpose, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Don't always wear t-shirts though, so it might have to be some form of a neck strap, perhaps. Although that I suppose would then tend to flop forward. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I'm actually more keen in getting rid of the headset. I'm wearing a headset because it's the only decent mic I've got, and I'd love to be able to get rid of the mic, the headset, because I'd find them uncomfortable. I wear glasses and they press against. It causes the arms of the glasses to press against my head, and after a while they get hot, and my ears get hot, and it gets just the compression of the headset, and after a while it's I get to the point where I'm not necessarily bothered about stopping streaming, but I am bothered about getting rid of the headset. So I am sort of saving up for a studio mic, a decent proper broadcast studio mic, so that I can sit it somewhere down in front of me here, and then I can take the headset off and just talk normally. Also make it easy for me to have a drink as well, because I've got to avoid the microphone at the moment, the boom. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit more, and I am just wondering whether to put the let's put the darker orange in, which will be mainly, well, it will be just this section here, avoiding the lights, and then that probably will be enough for today. Oops, I'm getting a bit low on this colour as well. Shall have to order some more thread. especially if I'm going to start doing this stuff on stream. You use a fair amount of thread. You don't go through it. It's not like you go through one bobbin an hour or anything like that, but you do actually go through it fairly quickly. There's a heck of a lot more thread than what, you know, when you look here and you think it doesn't look to be a lot of thread. But when you actually think each time I push this through, I'm leaving about a centimetre of thread on the other side of the piece, and it soon adds up when you do that. Okay, I'm going to use a gold colour here, which is obviously is a slightly darker colour, which will just, because this front end with it being tilted forward is slightly in shadow, and I'd like to represent that if I can. You know what, I hadn't thought. It is a Logitech. I have since found out a lot of streamers use that, but it's coincidental. I got it because, of course, it's an HD capable camera with a decent, it manages the frame rate, the 30 frames per second, and it had a decent quality. And of course, I mean, just the design of it itself probably lets it clamp to something like a t-shirt, because of the way the base is. It's got the angle base, as you already know. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I'm actually wearing a standard shirt, short sleeve shirts, rather than t-shirts. I find them cooler. So Clay, what's he call himself? Actually, the one I'm thinking of, I haven't actually seen use clay. He's used other modelling materials. Oh, I really can't. He's generally one of the leaders in the creative section anyway. When he's on, and I know he has a dog. But yeah, I might have to try that at some point. Okay, I thought I'd broken this thread then. Making things like your creative stuff visible on a stream is actually or a television screen, if you like, is a problem that even professional studios have sometimes, as to just how to represent it. And whilst they have the cameras and the mountings to be able to do what they like, sometimes they do seem to struggle with getting it right. That's the one. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, C. Not Bush. I knew as soon as I saw the name I'd recognise it, but yeah. He's actually the only one I've seen doing that with. It took me a while actually to work out where he had the camera, because I thought at first it was on his headset, but then you could see him in his other camera moving his head and looking sideways and things, and the view wasn't shifting, so it took me ages to work out where he'd I won't say hidden the camera, but mounted it. But it works really well, doesn't it? That sort of when he's done that. Now there should be a couple of overhead wires warning labels on here, but I'm not actually going to put them in. I'd only be able to put the patches of white anyway, so. Jillybug, good afternoon. Polymer clay and resin, yeah, that's right. Again, a fantastic sculptor, or at least it looks like it to me. You know, somebody who does not sculpt. And how are you doing this afternoon, Tillybug? I say afternoon because of course that's what it is to me in the UK. And unlike America, we only have one time zone here. If that wasn't spam and it was intended to be a picture of an art or something like that, then next time please ask first. This panel is now almost finished. And there we go. So cut it off and we'll have a look at it. Just cut off those threads as well. So don't leave any lying around, and we'll take a look at what it looks like. That's probably a bit dark, but we're kind of stuck with well, it is a bit dark, but we're kind of stuck with the colours that are available to us. But at least hopefully it lets us see that as a panel. The lights will go in here then, and we'll get the air dam underneath, and then the lights. Okay, he says, having a stretch. It's now 10 to 6 here in the UK, and it's time for me to have some tea. I've been streaming now for just over 2 hours, and I've got another stream that will start somewhere around 8 o'clock tonight, in about 2 hours time, where I'll be doing some pyrography. So I'm going to wind the stream up now. I'm not sure when we'll get back to this. It may well be next weekend, or may well do, if I finish off a piece early tonight, I may well do some of this at the end of the stream. We shall see. But if you're interested in seeing some more of this, or indeed seeing pyrography or any of the other art forms that I will be showing on stream, then please follow please press the follow button. Follow me. The advert is now, and hopefully Twitch will let you know when I go live. If it doesn't, or you would like to be a little bit more certain, then you can follow me on Twitter as well. The details are below the stream, but it's at Zaragon Art. If you check it, you'll find that about the only thing I tweet is when I go live, so you're not going to get inundated with tweets about what I had for lunch or anything like that. But other than that, thank you all very much for watching. For those of you that followed, again, thank you very much. I do really appreciate people who follow and want to come back. But if you have been lurking, that's also quite alright. I love you guys to watch anyway. So for now, thank you, and I will see you later on the stream tonight, or perhaps on another stream. Cheers everybody.